Wealth creation, and particularly property investing, is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Most people start investing without knowing their numbers. Have a plan, not a dream. You are what you surround yourself with. With my first paycheck, I bought a very expensive BMW car. I couldn't even afford to pay for the insurance for that car. I was spending to impress. In the world of property, stop chasing hotspots. The other thing I wouldn't waste my money on, over-leveraging. We live in a country where it's so easy to get into debt, but very hard to get rid of. If you can't buy cash, you can't afford it. Education expenses are just too high. The cost of school fees and other education expenses are just killing us. Capital growth builds wealth, but cash flow pays for the bills. I would start with a personal budget, live within my means, and start as early as I can. It's not magic, it's mentorship and strategy.
Hey, and welcome back to the Property Punch podcast. I'm Thabo, part-time social media intern and the son of this guy.
That's me. Washington here, your wealth mentor and your guide to the world of property investing.
So Dad, how's your week been?
It's great. We had a birthday in the family. There was a birthday weekend.
A big birthday as well. 16.
16. She turned 16.
Your favorite daughter?
Look.
Well, your only one.
I don't have favorite child. All my children are my favorite. You don't think so?
No comment. So what did you get her? The big 1.6.
Yeah, mom went for shopping. She got a beautiful handbag. You know, girls with handbags.
Correct.
And a beautiful bracelet.
And a new phone as well.
And a new iPhone. Yeah, that's
she was very excited about.
Absolutely. I'd forgotten about that one. What did you get her?
My love.
so nothing.
The gift is loading. I'm going shopping this week. I'm going to go look at a few different places to see what might catch my eye, because nothing at our regular shopping centre really caught my eye. That's the thing.
What are you thinking of getting here? And guess what? If you tell me, I'm going to keep it as a secret. I'm not going to tell her.
I already have it in my heart. It's just have to go find where it is first.
Okay. That's good. So she's been telling me about she wants to get a driver's license.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, I mean, now she can, but I don't know. Is it the right time for her to get her driver's license?
I don't think she's ready. But we'll see. I don't think she's ready.
I don't think the roads are ready.
Yeah, I think so.
We might have to put out a warning.
But first things first, she needs to pass, what do you call that test?
The driver's knowledge test?
Driver's knowledge test, yeah. First things first. So she needs to learn about that.
I think she'll do fine in that. I think she's got the basics down pat.
Yeah. Has she been studying for that?
But when I drive, she's always commenting, oh, you should enter the roundabout here. You should turn here. Thabo, your reaction time's trash.
Yeah. Like, you know what we call those that comment like that? Professional passengers. Yeah. So she's a professional passenger. But I'm looking forward to... But you know what? I was so excited when I was teaching her how to drive. Because I was saying... I'm going to have my personal chauffeur to be driving me everywhere. Now, whenever we're going, you don't like driving. You want to be driven.
I don't like driving that much.
So I hope she'll be different. I
feel like she'll be there more.
Yeah?
I have faith.
So what is it about driving that you don't like?
There's too much happening.
There's too much
happening.
And you don't like thinking?
And then I get scared. If I haven't driven there before I get scared, I'm like, I don't know what to do. Even though it's like the same technically everywhere. It's like, I don't know the roads. Especially when you're on your red Ps, you can't have like a GPS. Well, you're not allowed to have a GPS legally.
Really?
Like, you're not allowed to have your phone connected to the car like by Bluetooth at all. Like legally.
So you can't be on your GPS if you're on a red P.
Yeah.
So however, you can actually have the book. The book directory.
Yeah, apparently, you can have the book.
Oh, wow! But interestingly, now you're on your green Ps.
Yes.
So what are you restricted to do as is it P2?
Yes.
P2 provisional drive, yeah.
I think P2 is I can now go 10 kilometers faster, which is 100. And
I think I know why you didn't want to drive. You didn't want to accumulate demerit points.
I've never had a single point on my...
Because you hardly drove.
I drove places. The train station somewhere.
Oh, yeah, you did. You did. You did. And then how long do you have to be on your green peas before your full license?
24 months.
Oh, okay. And then full license. Anyway, good on you. Next one, apply for the pilot license.
I used to want to be a pilot actually, or get a pilot license, and I thought, it looks a bit too complicated.
I was watching this other documentary the other day saying that the cost of being a pilot can be around $100,000. That's a lot of money. That's a lot,
especially when you're starting, because if you want to fly, you either have to like rent out the plane to fly it, or buy your own plane. And then when you buy your own, even if you buy like the small ones, I used to watch these people on YouTube that had the small ones. You have to like rent out hangar space, pay for fuel, and it's just.
And I guess that's what we're talking about in our podcast, that you don't want to look wealthy before you build the real wealth.
You don't want to make irresponsible investments into things that you're not ready for financially.
Absolutely.
Today's episode is a big one. We're going to be trying to answer a question that I've been really meaning to ask you, Dad. And it's, if you were to start again from scratch, totally, let's say this year, what would you do?
We'll walk through the lessons that we have learned, the mistakes that we have made, and the opportunities we will jump straight onto if we're the clean slate.
So, Dad, where would you start from if you were 18 again, just like me?
That's a good question. I will start on education. Not just university, but financial education. I would listen to podcasts, talk to mentors, read books, so that I can actually learn how money works. Most people actually start investing without knowing their numbers.
I feel that, and I feel like I've seen that firsthand, because even just from the social media work that I've done, I can see the impact and how important education is.
It is. I would surround myself with mentors, with the right communities, and the right people who can help me to move along. Because like they say, you are what you surround yourself with.
So if you're starting from scratch again, like we discussed before, what are the top things you wouldn't waste your time on?
That's easy. The first thing that I will do is try not to look wealthy when I'm not. I remember my first days when I finished uni, straight into work. With my first paycheck, I went to Recon debt and I bought a very expensive BMW car. Time went by, I realized that I couldn't even afford to pay for the insurance for that car because it was costing a lot of money to hold. I was spending to impress. In my mind, I needed to show off the car so that I could feel rich.
Did you really do that?
Yes, I did.
I thought about buying my first car a few months ago, and you promptly advised me that it's not a good financial decision, and now I can see where you learned that lesson from.
Definitely not a good idea. I learned it the hard way, by the way. So in the world of property, I would stop chasing hotspots, because I remember when we bought our first investment property, we were actually chasing hotspots and we didn't look at the numbers and to look at the fundamentals at that time. The other thing I wouldn't waste my money on is over leveraging. We live in a country where it's so easy to get into debt, but very hard to get rid of. Every day you see in your mail, you've got letters from banks and other financial institutions offering you credit card. Those credit cards will charge you very exorbitant fees and high interests, and it will take you a very long time for you to pay them off. If you can't buy it cash, it simply means you can't afford it. So you can save some money so that you can buy it when you can afford it. I would also have started the art of paying myself first. Most people, when we get paid, we pay everyone else but us. We pay the bills, we pay all the expenses that we normally have, and we forget to pay ourselves first. So what I mean by paying yourself first is when you get paid, you need to put some money aside for future purposes like investments and other things that you may need to grow yourself. Good savings habits are the first step in any wealth creation strategy. Still on that topic of savings, I would also start on education savings plan. I remember as a financial advisor, I was always recommending my clients to establish a regular savings plan for their children, but never have anyone for myself. And now I'm feeling the full impact of that because education expenses are just too high. The cost of school fees and other education expenses are just killing us. But thank God we only got two left because you're out of that now.
You mentioned something about educational savings plan. I've never heard of that term before. So what is an educational savings plan?
So in education savings plan, some people call it an education bond, is a way where you put some money aside to fund your children's education, and it's a very tax-effective way of doing that.
Why is it tax effective?
I guess the government is trying to encourage parents to invest for their children's education costs so that way it's easier for them to pay for those costs later on in their life.
And why did you never set up an educational savings plan for us?
Good question, but simply the answer is I blame it all on procrastination.
Procrastination is a silent killer.
Absolutely.
So what about get rich quick or get rich overnight tactics? Do you think you'll try any of those?
Wealth creation, and particularly property investing, is not a get rich quick scheme. It's get rich for sure if you play the long-term game. It's a game where those with patience are definitely rewarded, but definitely not a get rich quick gig.
So when did you realize that property investing was a good vehicle for wealth creation?
So for me, the light bulb moment was early in my life. After starting work, I was earning income and everything was going to expenses, paying all the bills and all that. And I knew that when I continued to do that path, I was never going to be financially free. The money that I earned at that time was just enough to pay my day-to-day bills and a little bit of savings when I was lucky. So I realized I needed to invest in assets, and the property in this case, so that later on in life, it would provide me with passive income.
So let's say I've got a part-time job, I'm saving hard. What should I do next?
Great. So what I advise you to do is sit down and put down a budget. Write down all your expenses and see where you can cut down those expenses. Because when you're able to cut down those expenses, you're able to save some money. And as soon as you can, save enough for a deposit to get into the property market. Use government schemes if you are eligible. There are various of them. The First Homeowner Grant, the Home Guarantee Scheme, the First Home Buyer Assistance Scheme, or the Stamp Duty Waiver, and others that are available in every state. Also look for a positive cash flow property that also provides you with the potential of achieving capital growth over the long term. Don't get too emotional. Just run it like a business.
So you mentioned positive cash flow and capital growth, which we covered last episode, and I know that it's two terms, but you mentioned a few new ones that I've never really heard of, like the First Homeowners Grant, the Home Guarantee Scheme, the Stamp Duty Waiver, and First Home Buyer Assistance Scheme. So what are those?
So I will start with the First Homeowner Grant first. So this is a cash incentive that the state government gives you if you are a first homeowner, both for established homes or if you are buying house and land. And then the next one is the Home Guarantee Scheme. The Home Guarantee Scheme, you are able to buy your first home with as little as 2 to 5% if you are buying your first home without having to pay lender's mortgage insurance.
And what's lender's mortgage insurance?
So mortgage lender's insurance is an amount of money that you pay extra to the bank if you've got a deposit that is less than 80% and you're buying a property. So in this case, because you only have 2 to 5% deposit, you'll probably be paying a lot of lender's mortgage insurance to the bank. But the government has stepped in and they are waiving that lump sum that you'd have normally paid to the bank for that. So again, they're just making it easier for first home buyers like yourselves to actually get into the Australian property market quicker. And then the last one is the stamp duty waiver. So normally when you're buying property, there is a tax, a form of a tax called stamp duty, where it's the money that you pay to the government to buy homes. And in this case, if you're a first home buyer, based on certain limits, the government is able to waive that stamp duty. So you're actually able not to pay the stamp duty Because sometimes normally it forms part of your savings that you've got to come up with for you to get into the property market first. So imagine, let's say you're buying a property for, say, 600,000 as an example. You can potentially buy that property with as little as $12,000 deposit, or between 12,000 to 15,000 as a deposit, and that's really, really great.
So the government's making it a bit easier to enter the property investing space, or the property space.
Absolutely, because they are realizing that, now property, due to the issue of unaffordability, now the first home buyers are now being encouraged to get into the property market, and the way to do that is by providing all these incentives so that you can actually be able to afford to get into the property market as quick as possible.
So a good strategy would be cash flow first and then growth?
Not always, but in the beginning, because cash flow can keep the things going. Capital growth builds wealth, but cash flow pays for the bills. When you're buying a property, you have expenses like interest to the bank, council rates, water rates, and other expenses like maintenance. So cash flow will help you to pay for those expenses whilst you're holding your property.
What is one lesson or tip that your successful clients persistently do that your maybe less successful clients maybe don't do?
Over time, I have noticed that the clients that persistently work together, in this case, if they are couples, this husband and wife or whatever the situation is, those clients that work closely together, they tend to achieve more than those that do things individually.
And why do you think that's the case?
I think a couple of reasons. So the first one is accountability. If you are working together, you are accountable to each other. And accountability brings financial discipline and responsibility. Second is obviously, if you're working together, you are working with a bigger working capital. You have combined your income, and therefore you're able to buy bigger assets for the long term. And finally, when you work together, you're working in harmony. You're working in the same direction. There is no pulling each other down, but you're moving in the same direction. Sometimes the world of investing, things can be challenging. So if you're working with your partner, sometimes when you're a little bit down, they can actually encourage you to moving along, and that can make a big difference between, you being able to catch up. It's like a teamwork in a team. When you're working as a team, then you leverage on each other's strengths, but also sometimes when there are some weaknesses, you're able to cover each other out.
Maybe that's why I've heard some stories of people getting into the property market with their friends together, purchasing a home.
Absolutely right. We are seeing a lot of that happening. But as long as those friends, you're at the same level of thinking, and more importantly, particularly with friends, you want to make sure that if you're entering into the property market with friends, you've got some important legal documents drawn up first, just in case sometimes when things can actually go bad. Yes.
Awkward if it did.
Absolutely. When there's money, sometimes friendship can be a little bit,
shaken.
Exactly.
Let's get real. What mistakes did you make?
Oh, plenty of them. Plenty of mistakes. In the beginning, I didn't have a clear plan.
Why do you say that?
Because I lacked a clear plan, it meant I didn't have a clear strategy as a point to attack my goals. A plan is useful because it would have helped me to formulate a blueprint to follow. In addition, when we bought our first home, we bought with emotion. We didn't use any logic at all. And to some extent, we didn't know any better because we didn't have anyone that we could have asked a lot of questions that we had at that time. In other words, we didn't engage any mentor that could help us along the way. If we had one, I'm sure they would have helped to lead us in a clear way and also held us accountable along the way.
But now this is kind of full circle because you and the Your Wealth Mental team help people in this process and teach them to do it the right way.
Exactly. Mistakes are only bad if you don't learn from them. Two of my favorite quotes on that are from Henry Ford and Winston Churchill. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts, by Winston Churchill. The other one, failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently. We all fail, but it's what we do with that failure that really counts.
Let's answer it. If you were starting again, what would you do differently?
Here is my playbook. I would start with a personal budget, live within my means, and start as early as I can. To build up a deposit. I will start small but start smart, because a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. I will have a plan, not a dream, and find the right strategy to implement my plan. I'll make adjustments as required. Along the way, and my plan should be flexible enough to accommodate to my personal circumstances. With investing in property, I'll look for emerging suburbs with data and fundamentals and not emotion like what I've done in the past. I'll use a good buyer's agent if I don't know where to look. The cost of engaging one is money well spent. I'll also build a solid team. I'll make sure I've got a good mentor, a reliable mortgage broker, and a solid conveyancer or solicitor. I'll focus on passive income and long-term equity as the end game. And finally, I'll have a solid risk management plan. Things don't always go according to plan, so I'd like to make sure that I've got a contingency plan in place. For example, there could be increase in interest rates, or periods where I don't have tenants in my properties, or even my properties require maintenance. So I want to make sure that I've got some money set aside for events like that.
That kind of sounds like a cheat code.
It's not magic. It's mentorship and strategy.
This was gold and it was all free. So if you're just starting out on your property journey, personally I would rewind this episode and take a few notes.
And remember, whether you're 18, 35 or 55, it's never too late to start again with the right mindset.
If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more from us, make sure to subscribe, comment down below, or review this episode, and share it with someone who you think needs the help. Your love and your engagement really helps us a lot.
And if you want tailored guidance, please visit yourwealthmentor.com.au. We are here to help. Catch you in the next one.